Lads, lasses, and the rest of the masses, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mono from MonoCFC, and welcome to our Q&A celebration for hitting 15,000 subscribers on the channel. Before I begin, I do just want to give a massive thanks to you guys, because without you this wouldn't have been possible. I've been posting on this channel since October 2020, and it's a dream come true for the channel to finally be taking off this year. It's still quite a shock to me that so many people believe that my content is even worth watching, and though there are far bigger channels on this platform, when I sit down and think about how large a number 15,000 people is, it blows my mind. That's enough people to fill the entire west stand of Stamford Bridge and still have like 2,000 people left over. That's a mind-boggling amount of people to me, and once again I just want to extend my gratitude to you all. And to do that, I thought I'd give you guys a little something back, answering your questions that you left in the comment section over the course of the few weeks. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. I'm going to try and answer these in a nice cohesive order, so to start with, let's go to the beginning. Joshua Carther asks, how did you become a Chelsea fan? And it's simple really, you can probably tell from my accent, but I'm a Londoner. I was born in the southwest, and every single one of my family members supported one of the surrounding London clubs. I was actually born a bit closer to Wimbledon and Sutton in truth, but my older brother was always a Chelsea fan, and you know how it is growing up as a younger brother, you take after your older brother, so I instantly gravitated towards Chelsea too. As soon as I was able to walk, I was kicking a ball, and from there my love for this great club just grew and grew. After school, I'd put my Chelsea shirt on and go down the local park with my mates, and we'd play and talk about the football until it got dark. That was the majority of my childhood until I got to the later stages of high school and had to focus on other things. Which leads me onto the second question here from Life Godzilla, who asks, why did you start this channel? Well, truth be told, I've always wanted to do YouTube as a hobby and potentially as a job later in life, since I was a kid. I've had multiple channels based on the multiple hobbies that I've had throughout my life. I actually started on YouTube back in 2009 with a channel based on animations that I would make when I was younger. I had another where I posted videos of me singing. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this on the channel yet, but I am a vocalist, and that's partly why it always sounds like I've lost my voice when I record videos for this channel. That turned into a channel based on cardistry or sleight of hand, card tricks, that type of thing, in the end. Since then, more recently, I've made channels for the music that I now make. I'm an electronic producer and thought that I needed a place to post my stuff if I ever finished any projects, that is. Lastly, I made a channel where I'd post Let's Plays and stuff, and that kind of fizzled out and died as well. All of those channels have since been deleted. This channel was the final channel I made and was, in all senses of the word, my final attempt and final chance to make something out of this hobby. I changed up my style from how it used to be back in 2020 when I was just casually posting on here, and the rest, as they say, is history. Speaking of starting this channel back in 2020, King Archer asks, where did the name and profile picture from the channel come from? All the best, keep up the great work. Thank you for that, I appreciate you. Well, it's not a weird question, but the answer is kind of bizarre. For the name, it's pretty simple. I've briefly mentioned this in the past, but this channel used to be called Monochrome Chelsea, which was way too long and not very brandable, so I swiftly changed that a few years later to what it is now, MonoCFC. The monochrome bit is just my online display name and has been for ages. My gamertag is always monochrome, I release my music under monochrome, etc. Most of my friends and family, and even my other half, call me Mono at this point as a nickname, so that's largely what I go by in everyday life. Which also kind of answers this question from Kevin Paul. At this point, my name is just Mono, so just call me as such. Going back to the original question, as for the icon, that's changed from the old one too, and this is the weird bit. This is an edit of my face, which originally was black and white, and was the first draft of some cover art for a single that I was working on at the time that I've since given up on. I changed it to be blue instead and used it for this channel because that single was to be called Emotion, and when I first rebranded this channel, the song that I was using in my intro was coincidentally called Emotions Like by Alva Gracia, and the logo just kind of fit the song, so I've obviously since had to abandon that song due to copyright issues, but remnants of that old style of my videos still remain, with the background song still being the same as it used to be, a song called Blue Boy by Lakey Inspired. Next question comes from Elvis Koski, apologies if I've mispronounced that, who says, face reveal, question mark? Well, as mentioned above, my logo is just my face, but as for a full unedited face reveal, I've spoken about this in the past, but I prefer being a faceless channel. I like my content to be the focus of this channel and not me specifically. That being said, I probably will do a face reveal for another big milestone, maybe 20,000 subscribers or 25k, something like that, but I'm undecided as of right now. Speaking of this channel being more about content and not me, let's get onto more Chelsea/channel related questions, shall we? Firstly, CFC Midfield asks, have you thought about doing more streams, watch-alongs, etc? Plain and simple, yes I have, and I do want to do some more at some point. The only issue is I don't really have many ideas for streams other than my post-match reactions that I currently do. Obviously watch-alongs are something I can do, but most of the time I'm watching the games, I'm taking notes for my breakdowns and for GBU. So I don't know how engaging with chat I would be, and I wouldn't want to bore you guys just watching me watch the game rather than just watching the game. I think that would be easier to do after a face reveal, so that's probably something for the future in truth. If you guys have any suggestions for other stream stuff I could do, then let me know. Maybe a career mode or ultimate team series on the AFC or something. I did in fact cave and buy that despite not playing FIFA for multiple years. Then let me know in the comments and we can plan some stuff out. He asks, do you think we still have a shot at a Champions League spot? This is similar to this other question, so I'll group them together. Quite frankly, no. I don't think we can finish in the top 4. Do I think we can get into Europe? Yes. The difference is that the top 4 teams right now, Spurs, Arsenal, City and Liverpool, don't look susceptible to dropping points consistently. Even if we win all of our games, I don't see us being able to catch up. The teams below them, however, Villa, Brighton, West Ham and Newcastle, who are fighting for the remaining European spots, are dropping points, and if we can consistently gain 3 points we will be able to catch them, especially considering all of those teams are in Europe currently, and we aren't. So that late season fatigue will likely bring them down. I think we've given the top 4 teams far too big of a head start with our poor form to get up with them, but I'll be happily proven wrong. The next question comes from Crimson Wolf, who asks, if you had to bring back one Chelsea legend in their prime to play in this team, who would I choose? I asked a similar question in a question of the day a few videos ago, and I was surprised to see that the majority of people were saying Didier Drogba. I think strikers are a problem area for us, and I believe that's likely why people have said that, but I think the real issue is goals from midfield, and therefore I'd be tempted to say Eden Hazard, who carried this team on his back for many years, but my choice would always be Super Frankie Lampard. If you look back at our games this season and see the amount of times we get the ball in a position to score from outside the box, but fail to do so due to the player there being unable to do so, Enzo, for example, could have had at least 3 goals this year already from scoring positions, and Frank wouldn't miss those in his prime. I genuinely believe we'd be in the top 3 if we had a prime Frank in our midfield. Speaking of striker woes, I got a lot of questions concerning strikers, so I'm going to group a few here. Konza, JJ the Blue and MCTH9IZ all wonder whether we need to bring in a striker or 2 in January, and whether I think Broja and Jackson are good enough. Well, I think it all depends on this upcoming period of games. I personally believe Jackson and Broja are good enough for this team, and they've started to show that by scoring goals recently. If they can sustain this in the next few fixtures, especially considering how difficult they are, then I don't see us needing to bring anyone in, especially with the young David Washington as a backup too. I think the board should learn to not constantly splash the cash, and someone like Osimhen is ridiculously expensive, especially for a striker that's not proven in this league. Almost every big money signing we make from overseas goes poorly for us, and if we are to buy a striker, I'd like it to be one with Prem experience, like Tony for example, though I don't think that's likely either. Next summer is more likely for us to be looking at a new striker if we need one, but I'm willing to give Jackson and Broja time to settle in and prove that they can lead the line for us before we do that. Yina and Jameen Temi, again apologies if I'm pronouncing that poorly, ask what my first XI would be if everyone was back from full fitness. And to be honest, it wouldn't be that different to what we've been seeing recently. I think Sanchez would start, he's been phenomenal. James would come back into right back, though I think Malo Gusto could play here also. The 2 centre-backs I would go for would be Axel Disasi and Benoit Badiashile, with Levi Colwill still playing this hybrid left-back, left centre-back role, as it's the only way to get both of those 2 into the team, and would allow Reece to get further up the pitch where he's more effective. The midfield pivot would stay the same for me. Enzo and Caicedo are first choice. Lavia and Leslie can both rotate in if needed. The attacking midfielder would be Christopher Nkunku, who'd play more like a second striker. The right side would be occupied by Cole Palmer, the left by Sterling or Mudryk, and Jackson starts ahead of Broja for me as the main striker. Yina also asks what players could leave this season and what I'd do with loanees, so I'll group them together here. The players I see possibly leaving at the end of the season are Thiago Silva, who's likely going to be phased out of the team once Fofana and Badiashile come back from injury. Hakim Ziyech will probably leave on a permanent deal or be released. Malang Sarr will likely be shipped off to Strasbourg or something. Lukaku will leave on a permanent to Roma probably. More controversially, I think Noni Madueke is an option to leave. He hasn't had the best start to life at Chelsea under Pochettino, and I feel that if he stays on the bench for the rest of the season, he's not going to want to stay here and will look for a move to a club like Crystal Palace once Elise leaves next summer or something. Likewise, Mudryk and Sterling could also be looking for moves away if they don't start consistently firing, but I doubt that. One of the left backs will 100% leave in my opinion. Chilwell, Cucurella or Maatsen will go. I'm not sure which one, but I think Cucurella is the most obvious to leave despite his good form recently. Apart from that, I don't see many of our players leaving. We have this nice established core of players now, and I think the majority of those players are happy and won't want to leave. For the returning loanees question, honestly, I don't think many of them will make it here at Chelsea. Most of the youngsters that we have bought and loaned out are financial investments or assets rather than future players for the team. Someone like Diego Moreira, for example, I don't foresee cementing a place in the starting 11 anytime soon. Cesare Casadei is another that I don't expect to see play for us in the future. The ones I do see having a chance, a small chance but a chance nonetheless, are Angelo, who has been wonderful in Ligue 1 so far this season. Kendry Paez is 100% making it here at Chelsea once he returns in a few years. Andre Santos has the potential to break through, but with all our midfield options that's less likely, especially with his poor loan to Forest not turning out the way we wanted. David Datro Fofana is another name that I think could come back and play a part, but I think he's more likely to be sold in a couple of windows too. And for the final question, another one that I'm grouping together, this user, TT2Clean and Heino Bezwiedenhout are all wondering what the future holds for Chelsea and Mauricio Pochettino, and to be honest, I don't know. I can't predict the future, but what I will say is that I believe our future is far more secure now under Pochettino than it was a few years ago. We have a clear structure and identity in terms of our scouting and recruitment, we are finally starting to see results, and I fully believe that if he's backed, which it seems he will be according to reports that he's now going to be involved in transfers directly, then Pochettino is the right man to direct this club to trophies. He made Tottenham Hotspur of all teams look like contenders for the Champions League. I know that he can bring a much better club in Chelsea past just being contenders. In the next 3 years or so, I'd expect Poch to at least have won a domestic trophy, get us back into the top 3 or competing for the title, and make us a team that is feared once again. Hopefully he proves himself enough that he'll get a new contract, and this group of promising youngsters, who will be growing into their primes by that point, will be household names in the Premier League. And after those 3 years, hopefully we'll look back at this video and see if I was right or wrong, and maybe we'll be celebrating a much bigger milestone by then, who knows. But until then, that was my celebratory Q&A for 15,000 subscribers. Thank you ever so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on these questions in the comment section down below, and if you'd be so kind, subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to tap the notification bell so you never miss a video from me, or check out some of the other videos on the channel on screen right now. I've been Mono from MonoCFC, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on, you Blues!